We're good? Okay. For those of you who don't know me, I am April Holkenbrink, and I have been with Beachbody off and on for at least 5 years. So that's always very hard for me to go back and compare. And that's the biggest part of my journey is comparing to other people, but mainly to myself. So I actually went back and looked, and I think I bought my very first challenge pack in 2015, and not with the team I am with currently, but another one, and bought the things, tried to do all the things, wasn't successful. That was before I was married. So I was very like, oh, I want to fit into the dress and do all the things, but very off and on. And then even prior to that, so if I go back to high school years, I never really thought I was overweight, but I was abnormal body height, and I had big hips. So my struggle was always I was known as the tall girl or the girl with big hips, not necessarily overweight, but just those things, which to me were negative. So, and then I was a very young mom, got pregnant in high school. So I actually didn't even appreciate my body pre-pregnancy, which looking back is kind of hard to be like, girl, why didn't you appreciate that? And then I, like I said, I got pregnant young, had her. Then I thought what I had was a mom bod, and, thought negatively of that. And so that was kind of when I first started Beachbody in 2015, and just really wanted to change that and be like, oh, I'm the biggest weight I have been because since high school and having a baby and all the things. So that's when I was very off again, on again, starting off. And then in 2017, shortly after I got married, I lost my first big girl job, which was very hard on me mentally and then physically. And I remember I was already, taking it kind of seriously towards the end of 2017. And then when I lost my job, I remember my coach being like, you could make this your job, like you could try it. And so I put a lot more effort into it, and tried to work the business a little bit, but I really was focused on me. That was right when 80 Day Obsession came out. And so I was doing it, and I remember just feeling like I was in the best shape ever. And I was just so proud of how far I had came, and all the selfies, looking back and all the things. And then that was the beginning of 2017. Like I said, I thought I was my healthiest. I had lost a bunch of weight already. And then in fall of 2018 is when I was diagnosed with cancer. And that was obviously hard on me, like it would have been on anybody. But even before I was diagnosed, I was kind of off of Beachbody and workouts and stuff, because I had got a new job and, started life got crazy again. And so then I was diagnosed in the fall. And so even more so then when I was diagnosed, I obviously didn't put effort into my physical health as far as losing weight or anything like that. Like it was very much off of my radar. It was just surviving chemo, honestly. So again, I was just like, and they tell you, eat what you can. Like if you're in the mood to eat when you're going through chemo, you just eat. So that's what I did, because there were times when you're not in the mood to eat. And so they always said they would much rather you gain weight than lose weight. So I just went through all the motions, finished chemo. I had a 6-month plan. So when I finished that in spring 2019, I remember I was ready. Like I was towards the end, I was so ready to move my body again. I had gained so much weight and was at a very heavy point. And it was hard. It wasn't easy to be like, yeah, it was chemo. Like, I earned, the right to gain weight. And I know looking back, like, yes, that is a good excuse, but it was so very hard on me to accept that. So anyways, I finished chemo, and I was just ready. And then we did survival of the fittest. And I jumped in like a month after chemo. Like I was ready. I did Transform 20 with Shanti, who's amazing. Listened to his book. I did all the things. So that was, and honestly, that was probably one of the very first workout programs I had finished. I've only finished a few during these 5 years of being so hot and cold. So I remember that was a big deal for me to finish Transform 20, like just out of chemo. And also it was a very big turning point for me as well, because when I went through my cancer and chemo, I didn't tell anybody. Like obviously the people around me knew, or the people, but we actually moved right when I was diagnosed. So people back home, like where I was from, had no idea. And the people I began to know here only knew me that way. So I didn't ever post it on social media or share my story. For me, it was very much just, I don't want the pity. You know, I knew I was going to survive and get through it. And I had a good support system through my family, my husband. Financially, I knew we were going to be okay. So I didn't want the pity or anybody to be bringing me meals or worrying about me when I knew I was going to be okay. So, but when I joined Survival of the Fittest, I really opened up in that group. And also looking back, there's like very, very few pictures of me going through chemo without hair, because that was obviously very hard. And so I didn't do that because I didn't want to remember that. I didn't want people to see that. So in that first group coming back, it really taught me to just like let it go. And it was the beginning of summer, so I was getting hot and I sweat so much. I remember like just sweating so much, like my first workouts. And I was like, what is going on? I really think I was just sweating out the chemo. But anyways, that was a big turning point for me to be like, here I am. This is me. This is what I've been through. And I'm not ashamed. I'm bald and I don't care anymore. And just, like I said, that will forever be a very big point in my life. And then at my 6-month checkup, I had a scare and they thought it was back. So when that happened, I was very much like, okay, don't care about working out anymore. Just going to live my life. I had also just got a job that I loved and is my dream job. And at that time, I was very focused on my job and again, was worried about the scare. So I wasn't worried about my health again. Just kind of trying to survive at that point again. And then we actually, when they said that, it was too early to tell. So they were like, you just got to wait it out another 3 months before you can get a biopsy. So I was like, okay. So, and this was October of 2019. So I was like, okay, well, it'll be fine. We'll get through the holidays. That'll distract me. Again, just got a job, was very focused on that. So that time went by. And then in 2020, my year started before 2020 was a mess for everybody. It was, I had to have a biopsy, which was in February. And I knew that was going to be, I didn't know. I thought it was just going to be a little procedure. I've had biopsies before, obviously, to get diagnosed. So I was like, it's no big deal. It'll be just one night in the hospital. I'll be fine. Long story short, I woke up with a chest tube, 6 days at Barnes Hospital, and it was not easy peasy as we expected. So then there came more recovery time, more time, not working out, again, at that was actually my breaking point. Like the most I've ever weighed in my whole life was after the surgery. And then, so I had to recover from that. I thought I had and then with that, it was found out that I was cancer free. Like it really is gone. Nothing was there. It's just thymic rebound for all you health people who may know what that means. But anyway, so then after that, like I said, had to recover, was just focusing on getting through that, recovering, because it was kind of a hard recovery because I had to decollapse my lung. So I couldn't breathe. So I had to relearn to breathe and all the things, plus being super sore because I actually went in through my side and under my boob and through my lung and all the things. So to this day, it still does not feel right, but I'm better. And again, after that, I was like, okay, once I'm ready to go. Like I cannot be at this weight forever. Like I know I've hit bottom. I can't do this anymore. So quickly after I recovered, then shutdown happened and everybody in life had to quarantine. And so then I got sent, after returning to work after all this surgery, and like 2 weeks later, I got sent home again to work from home for quarantine. So for my first 2 weeks of quarantine, I literally sat on the couch, watched Netflix, was heading towards depression fast. Like I knew that first time I lost my job, it was a very similar situation where I was getting depressed and just on a downward slope. And I recognized that. I knew that that was what was coming. And so a couple weeks in, I was like, can't do this. You're just going to keep going. Your weight's going to keep going up. And I knew it was going to get bad. So I very quickly was like, all right, well, if you're going to be home, you might as well use the time to get back in shape and get healthy again. So that was really, again, another turning point for me in my health and fitness. I jumped right in, and that was when 10 rounds was released and we did a test group, and I had never been in a test group before. So that was also a big deal for me because again, I have not done that. So just having that extra support and being like, you know, being on plan. I do remember I didn't take my nutrition seriously. So that really bothered me that I got some results from the workouts, but didn't, you know, fully see the benefits because of nutrition. But then ever since then, I've just been pretty with my workouts. So this is like the longest time I've just had a continuous span. So I'm really proud of that. And then also with 80 to Life that we're doing, I have actually done 80-day obsession, which is huge for me because, as I said earlier, in 2018, that's when I thought I was at my healthiest. And looking back at that moment, clearly my body was not healthy because I was diagnosed with cancer later that same year. And they told me that as big as the mass was, that I could have had that cancer sitting in there for 3 to 5 years. So clearly I was not at my healthiest. So when I was looking from the outside in to my own health, I thought I was the strongest and healthiest and, you know, doing all the things, but clearly my body was not healthy. So I think that just recently hit me about a month ago when I was redoing 80-day obsession. It was like, holy crap. Like now I'm at my healthiest. Now, like it's real, like the cancer is gone. I was cleared. I'm losing weight. I've lost 30 pounds since March, which is huge to me. Like, so all the feels of that. But the other thing that I really want to talk about through this was that obviously I was very hot and cold. And the reason that I always thought or said, like, I was very much a blame other people, you know, and my favorite saying, especially lately, is hurt people hurt people. And that is so freaking true. And I think the most eye-opening part about that is realizing that you yourself are hurt and that's why you're hurting others. So not necessarily pointing at fingers at people hurting, but myself being like, yeah, that's true. So when I would see other people be very successful, whether it just be in their own weight loss or in the business or just in general, I was like, peace out. Like you know, you're doing it. I'm not, or very much like, I don't want to be your friend because you're doing the things. And just a very hard, again, comparison. And so, like I said, I had a lot of comparison with myself, looking back at pre-mom bod or just mom bod in general, and, you know, being the healthiest, and now basically feeling like I have to start over again. But also comparison with others and then their success, and just looking at that comparison. And I would very much just check out. I never, this team has always bragged about community, and like I would make the posts and do the things and show up, go to summit, go to all the things, but mentally I was not there. Like I was there physically for the pictures and the FOMO, but I was not like content with myself and enjoying the moment. I was very much standoffish and like, no. And a lot of it was, I have this fear of annoying other people. Clearly, I like to talk a lot. So, and I would always be like, not embarrassed, but just shut down myself because of what I thought others were going to think of if I talk too much and they can't talk, or it ruins their time. And so very much doubting myself. And so again, I just was very reserved, or just kind of was there, but definitely had my guard up and wasn't in the moment. And then this year we had Summit, and it was here local, and just a couple of us girls got together and did the things, and I owned up to that. And I was like, you know what? I told certain people that I didn't like them before, and it was very much because I thought they didn't like me. So if someone doesn't like me, then I'm going to pull back because, well, if you don't want to be my friend, then why should I try? And that was another big, again, turning point to accept that and be like, that's in my head. They don't give a shit if I'm showing up. Like they're doing their own thing. So it doesn't matter what they think and I think. And, it was just a very miscommunication and just, again, misunderstanding of, I don't like you because you don't like me, when again, they don't care if I'm showing up or not. So I think just owning that and being like, oh, wow, she's going to live her life with or without me. So I might as well show up and live my life. And just, again, opening and expressing that. And then having one-on-one calls with my coach, and her just being like, you got to do you. You got to be you. Who cares if people think you're annoying or loud or talk too much? That's you. Like, you just have to be you. And I will never forget that conversation in her basement. We were just sitting there, and she's like, you just have to be you. Like, just figure out you and be that person. Like, stop worrying what they think, or if they're more successful than you, or how it's going to affect their lives. Like, just do you. And again, I think it's been a very growth year for me. Like I said, I've been very off and on this whole journey for 5 years now. And that was another thing. I would be like, well, I started before them. Like I technically, I've been doing this longer, but they never quit. They never stopped. They just kept showing up again, regardless of what I'm doing over here. They don't care. They're doing them. And just accepting that and moving past that, because again, her success has nothing to do with my success and vice versa. So that was another big aha moment to be like, okay, well, I'm going to show up for me and learn who I am, regardless of what people are going to think or how I'm affecting them. And my other big goal or dream is just to inspire others. Like, I just want to share my story to help and inspire others, to show them that if I can go through cancer and then a month after chemo, I get back on it and then have a setback and then come back again after my surgery, not being able to breathe. That was always my thing. People would be like, I can't breathe during workouts. I'm like, you kidding me? Like, if I can do it, you can do it. I don't care if you have to modify your heart out. You're still freaking moving your body and getting your heart rate up, obviously, so it's working. So like I said, my goal is just to help others. And I pull back when I feel like I'm not, or people think differently of me. But that is ultimately my goal, whether it just be my cancer story or just me. That's another hard thing for me, is that I don't want people to label me as the girl who had cancer or vice versa. So that's another big point. But I also want to be able to share my story with others who may be going through a similar situation or maybe have no knowledge, because that was me. I was not close with anybody who has been through chemo at all. So I had zero expectations when I was diagnosed, didn't know anything. So if I could enlighten that for other people, or just be like, it's not just about the hair loss. That's like one of the easiest symptoms. Like, it's so much beyond that people don't see, and just growing past that. So yeah, 2020 has been, everybody talks so negatively about it, and I get it. Like, I'm not discrediting that it's been a crazy year, for sure. But for me, it has been life changing, like 100,000%. Like, between physically and then just growing and accepting me going through those hard seasons. And then also accepting that it's not over. Like, I'm still growing, and that's hard too. We went on a retreat, and I thought everything was fine. I had accepted myself and people and was just 100% me. And then when I took a step back and somebody brought up something, and I was like, that's not how I portrayed it. That's not how I meant it. But somebody else portrayed it in a different way. So again, I had to step back and kind of analyze the situation, and again, learn that it's about growing through it. So it, even when you're thinking like, okay, you're on the right path, there's still going to be even more setbacks to be like, whoa, still got to grow through that. So just overall continuing and just accepting that. And that's been another challenge of mine. They say to enjoy the process. And I'm a very, very, very impatient person. So losing weight is obviously not something that just happens. And so for me, it's like, I've been eating clean for a week and I've not lost anything. Like, let's go. It's like just accepting that, okay, look at the time span, like look at the bigger picture, and just seeing that has been a big turn for me. Even with redoing ADD obsession, I'll admit right now I'm like at the peak. So I'm like right at the middle, and I am struggling so freaking hard. The morning workouts, I'm so over it. I haven't worked out a full week in the mornings for, I don't even remember, probably a month, because I just want to sleep in. So this is me saying the struggle is real. Like, we all struggle. We all go through the challenges. I haven't been getting my water in, but then I'm like, but you haven't missed a workout. Like, I'm still on plan. I'm still showing up. It may not be 100%, but I'm still doing the daily intentions. And that obviously makes a huge difference. And to just say, like, because in 2018, when I first started the program, I didn't make it through. I quit halfway. And that was my biggest thing. Doing it again was just being like, I just want to complete the program. So right now I'm on my last week of phase 2, and then there's one more phase. And so I'm like, you can do this. You're so freaking close. And my other big thing that I'm working on now is I'm not having sweets during these 80 days or desserts, which included Halloween, my birthday, Thanksgiving, and now Christmas. And even despite people who are like, it's one day, you can have my dessert. No, I'm not doing it. It is one day, and I'm going to survive this one day without your dessert. So, but I don't know if you took anything away from this, but I guess my biggest thing is just growing. It's a season of growth, and everybody has to go through it. I think that's the biggest thing about changing. Like, if you want to change, you have to grow forward. And then accepting you and finding out who you are before you can accept others and let other people in. And then also, I always do come back because it works. And the community really is amazing when you let them in. And I think that's life changing, like just the community in itself. And again, I've always said that since I've started, but now it's different because it's genuine, and I'm letting it happen and making the actual connections that I've always wanted. I've always wanted to be like, people have their besties, but I don't have mine. Like, I don't have that connection. And that's what I want. Like, even if it's just one person who I talk to all the time, but just, again, figuring out me so I can let others in and not worry what they're actually thinking. And now we're doing the book club, which is, I'm just on the introduction, and it's already like blowing my mind, because she talks about, what was it? The mistakes, like not as many people notice your mistakes as you think. Mic drop. Like, for real, like, you notice your mistakes, especially people who are perfectionists and checklist and see the details and, want all the things, and who are impatient. So it's very much just being like, okay, they don't care. Like, they're going to do them without you. So you do you and focus on you before you can get to the bigger picture. So my own cup is full. I feel like I just preached my life story, and yeah, so I just want to help others. And if anybody does have any questions, I would very happily answer. And another kind of hard part for me was that I see all these girls wanting to work the business. And I always thought that that was like a necessity, like, you're in it or you're not kind of thing. And that was another turn off for me. Why I would break away would be because, I didn't see the steady income, or my husband didn't support it, or, you don't see those benefits. And I went to school and I want to use my degree. I always have. Like, I've always seen myself as a business person or growing in a career. And so it took me a while. Like, I always thought that I needed to be a stay-at-home mom because that's what everybody else wanted. So I tried several times when I quit my job, or when I got fired, and then through other times, and then quarantine, working from home. That's another thing. I have owned and accepted this year that I am not a stay-at-home mom. Don't want any part in it. I love my child, but my husband works second shift, and it's already enough of us. And I'm not about working from home. So again, accepting that is me, and that is okay. Just because all the other leaders are showing up to stay at home and be stay-at-home moms, that doesn't have to be me. That doesn't have to be you. You can still work on you and grow through whatever you need to for you, again, not for others. And because you feel like that's what is necessary. Like I mentioned before, last year, I truly found my dream job, and I am so, so blessed and thankful for the opportunities that they have given me. And I love it. And I don't want to leave. Like, I see myself there long term. And if not, just a stepping stone to another great career. But I really do think I'll be where I am for long term, unless we move or, something crazy happens. But it's okay not to want what everybody else wants. It's okay for me to still want to inspire others. Yeah, the extra paycheck is nice. It helps. We want to save money, get debt free, all the things. But I really am here to inspire and help others, and just show them like what it is to have this community. This community is so amazing. And I don't think people understand how great we have it as our community and our team as a whole, and our upline, all the things. So I appreciate that. And I just want others to see that and see how welcoming that we truly can be if you just let us, and grow together. So I could ramble for days. I don't even know how long I've been talking.
Yes, so. I think you might have already answered my question, but how do you feel like the community's changed for you now? Because I know you went through a lot of waves of being in and out, in and out, in and out. I can completely concur with the trip to Nashville. It was absolutely amazing and cut filling, and I would not take it back for a second. But it also made me question a lot of things. It made me look back inside of me. It made me grow in places that I didn't realize I needed to grow still.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about like the community, especially being around leaders and different people coming in and out? and I know COVID kind of like puts a nix on a lot of things for us. But like since Summit, since all those things, like how have things turned for you, like with the community?
I think that was a big, so to me, Summit was a turning point when I was like, owned up to the person how I felt. And she was like, no, that's not true. That's in your head. Let's move, like, we're good. So then I was like, okay, good. We're good. And then, so in Nashville, I thought we were good. I thought the whole trip was good. In my head, it was fine because I was just here for it. And it was a very relaxed atmosphere where we just kind of chilled. And then afterwards, somebody had approached me about certain comments I made. One, just being honest, was about we work out, obviously, and we work out in front of each other. And I made a comment about modifying. And it's hard for me to modify because I see everybody else kicking ass and I'm like, you should be doing that. Or why you're not giving your 100 if you're modifying. And so I have a hard time modifying in front of other people. It's different in your own basement, where no one can see you or judge you. And so I think everybody just as humans have that fear of being judged or being watched or, just again, as a human. And so when I made that comment, it was strictly like on me, like, don't judge me for modifying because I don't like that I modify. Like, it's, again, a me perspective. But then somebody else is like, well, I modify. Does that mean that I'm not doing a good job? And I'm like, that was not towards you at all. Like, not at all. But again, taking a step back and being like, whoa, that's how they perceived it, not how you meant it, which is fine. And I think, and now I'm like, oh, and I think that's a hard part for me too, is just owning up to my modifications and being like, okay, your heartbeat is still 160. Obviously, you're still freaking doing the thing. Like, even though you're not doing it like Autumn on the TV, your heartbeat is still like showing that you're trying. So just accepting that in my own skin. And then hearing that from others was a big thing for me. There was something else that was, just how I'm a very questioning person. Like I like to ask questions just because that's who I am. That's how I've always been growing up in school and work, anywhere. I ask questions all the time. And obviously I'm a very open and direct person. And so to me, it's just sincerely out of, I want to build the knowledge. Like, I just want to know more. It's not anything about you, but certain people portray those questions differently and think that I'm questioning them, but it's not like that. So again, just stepping back and realizing that, my perception is not the same. And I think it is about growing and just moving forward and acknowledging that. But again, accepting that that's just who I am. Like, I mean, again, I ask questions to grow and to gain knowledge, and that's part of me and just who I am. I mean, I understand other people's feelings and taking that into consideration, but I can't say I'm not going to ask questions. I may ask them differently or kind of step back and not ask so many or reframe my questions. But I think that's a hard part too, is that I genuinely don't ever want to hurt anybody or let anybody down. That's a big one for me, just letting people down in general. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question at all, but just, I think it goes back to like figuring out me before I can let other people in. And but my relationships with, even though they may not be perfect with everybody, I feel like they are definitely growing with certain people. Like, you have those people that you get closer to or have, your goals align, or if you're all showing up for the hikes and the things, then you're going to grow in bonds like that. And I think for me, that's a big thing, just to build those friendships. Because I mean, I've had best friends here and there, but when you become an adult, we all know that becomes far and few between when everybody has their own full-time jobs and kids running around and activities. And so I think just keeping those connections and building those has been huge for me, and letting those people in and just being like, finding your people, I think is huge, and learning that.
What keeps you showing up? Because I mean, you've had a lot of not necessarily setbacks, but a lot of like obstacles come up. What keeps you coming 5 years later?
So a couple things. For one, the biggest thing when people ask like why this specific program or why this community, it works. Like I think that is like a huge, like obvious piece of it, is that clearly the workout programs and the trainers and the products do work if you use them. That was another hard thing somebody said to me this year, was I was talking about a product and like, oh yeah, I just got this, but I haven't tried it, or blah, blah, I just hope it works. And she was like, well, it's only going to work if you use it. Well, duh. But then when you use it, it's like life changing, and you know the difference it makes. So a huge part of it is that I just know it works. And the second part is the community, just knowing that, I mean, we all have our struggles, but we all struggle together. I don't know if that's the right term, but we definitely have each other's backs. And we know, I think a lot of it too is that I know you know what I'm going through. I know you know the struggle of waking up at 4 a.m. because you've had to do it, if you're not doing it currently through COVID, but you've had to do it just in general. So just knowing that you guys know what it's like to not get your water in, or want all the junk food, or, you know, things that most people know, but we've realized, I guess. So those are my two biggest things. Is obviously it works for me because there's been, in 2018 when I was my healthiest, I had already, I don't even know, I never even tracked how much I had lost in, but I think I had lost around 30-40 pounds then too. And so when I was like, okay, I'm ready to come back, I knew it worked for me and my body if I put in the work. So yeah, and just growth. It's been the amount of personal growth I've been through because of what we preach, like the personal development, the community itself, just knowing that you're growing too, and I'm growing, and which brings it back to community. So
Oh yeah, community is a huge thing.
yeah.
I don't have any more questions. Do you have questions, Amy / Deidre, whoever you are today?
I think my biggest thing is I just wish everybody could feel this way. Like I mean, as challenging as it is, and yes, you have to put in the work and do hard things, but the end like result, I mean, I know I'm not at the end and there's still ways to go, but just the happiness, like you feel so much happier when you have energy, or how your family portrays you, or the confidence, the products. And yeah, I don't, my printer just randomly kicked on, so that's cool. But yeah, and that's been my thing too, from always like sharing, is not to sell the products, but to just be like, you need this. You need to feel this way. I know what it's like to be where you are. I know what it's like to be depressed and down in the dumps and way overweight and just feel like nobody loves you, and, you know, all the things. It's like, I know what that is like, but I know what this is like. And I just want this for everybody. Like, just do it, because I know it works and I know you'll feel better. So just, if you just try it. So, and just, yeah, I could go on and on about that. Just do the things because it works and you'll feel better. And the amount of change it brings when your body physically changes, which we all know there's a difference between physical transformations, and if you're not doing the work inside, it's definitely not the same. But if you're putting the two together, it's just so life-changing. And so I said, I really think 2020 was so huge for me. And I think I've known all year that it's been a big growth and like, wow, look how far I've come. But now that it's December and it's almost over, I'm like, wow, but for real, like, oh my gosh, it blows my mind. So, and my loving and caring heart is just like, I want that for you too. Like, I want to be your friend and I want you to feel this and be my friend and love me and I'll love you. So again, I could ramble forever, and I do feel like I know I discredit on how much I have to share, but I know I have a lot to share and inspire. And again, I know my cancer story is inspirational and everybody is in all over it, which I mean, I love, like, I like that is a factor, but I honestly, if you know me, you know, I don't talk about it unless I'm asked to talk about it, and then I won't shut up about it. But I don't want to be, again, that cancer girl. I want to be beyond that and just like, yeah, she went through that, but look at her now. Like, look at how far she's coming. And I think another huge thing for me right now is there's a lady who is going through the very same situation I went through and the very same time of year. So I started my chemo in 2018 November, and she just started hers in November this year. And we're close in age, have young children, and just seeing, like, just watching from the outside after already going through it is like all the feels. So it's like, I just want to be there for her because I know what it's like. And so I just want that. I just want to be there. And I think it's making me realize like how far I've come and being like, okay, look at me, like you can do it too. But just again, stepping back and be like, you were there 2 years ago, like in the same freaking position, like the same one. Only hers is different because she's going through it during COVID. Like I can't even imagine going through chemo right now during COVID. Cannot. Like the support is different. Everything is just different. And I just can't. But yeah, it's been eye-opening for me to be like, wow, like, and just letting me own it and be like, okay, look at you now. Like, and I have a big quote on my wall, and she had actually, this girl who's going through it had posted quotes, and I shared it with her, and I was like, my favorite quote since going through this is, the comeback is always stronger than the setback. And that is like my favorite quote from now and forever. So, and my main one is, everything happens for a reason, which I truly believe. Like I had to go through all of that to get to where I am today, which it was hard as shit and sucked, but look at me now. So yeah, again, I could ramble on forever, so I should probably just end it with that positive note. So I thank you, those of you who did come, and I hope everybody gets some kind of takeaway from this, whether it be the replay or how. And if you have any questions, just come and find me because I love to share. So bye guys. Hope you have a good night.